Hi everybody! If you don't know me already, my name is Kaylee. I'm a gut health nutrition coach and I help people to overcome their chronic gut and digestive issues using the principles of ancestral nutrition as well as some other holistic health principles. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how toxins affect your gut and overall health and how you can decrease your exposure to toxins. So when I talk about toxins, I mean things like endocrine disruptors in plastic, I mean pesticides, I mean flame retardants, things of that nature. So things that are in our environment, things that are more modern, and things that have a negative impact on our health. So a lot of these, once you know what they are, they're easy to see, they're easy to identify, they're easy to avoid. But when you're a little unclear on what they are, they can seem a little ambiguous and it's a little hard to tell. How do I decrease my exposure to toxins? And also, if you don't know the effects of them, it can also feel like, well, do I really need to? Is this really that bad for me? So in this video, I just want to share about what are the effects of these toxins, what are the most common sources of them, how horrible they are for your gut and your overall health. And also it can feel a little bit sometimes like, oh, this is such a tiny thing. Does it really matter if I have like one plastic this, or if I use this shampoo that has weird ingredients in it or whatever. It can feel like, oh, this is such a minuscule thing, but the problem is there's so many toxins all over the place nowadays that they add up and they have an accumulative effect. And what happens also is if you're not getting rid of them, if you're exposed to a lot, they get lodged into different tissues, they store in there, and that can lead to dysfunction wherever they're stored, which can lead to cancers and diseases and chronic illnesses that you don't want. So while healing your gut, eating a nourishing diet, living a healthy lifestyle are some of the most important things you can do for your health, decreasing toxins and ridding your body of toxins, I would group right in there as one of the most important things to do. Now, I'm also gonna encourage you not to like freak out over every detail. Yes, you will be exposed to a little bit, and that's not the end of the world. Your body can tolerate a little bit, but the problem is when it's a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit here, it adds up to a lot, and that's where we run into issues. So yeah, and let's see. Also, the topic of detoxing and toxin exposure, I wanted to split into two videos so it doesn't get too long. So this week I'll talk about, where toxins are, how to decrease exposure. And then next week I'll talk about how to rid your body of the toxins that you've probably stored over the years and how to keep detoxing so that you don't store those. That won't be like fad detoxing, juice cleanses, supplements, things like that. It will really be about working with your body and understanding how your body gets rid of toxins and how you can make those pathways work better. So yeah, let's see. Okay, before I get too far into the video, if you guys don't know already, I have a free training on how to get your digestive system to work like an efficient machine. This is a great video to help you understand how your digestive system works, what kind of things can go wrong, how you can fix them, how you can better tolerate the food that you're eating, how you can have those daily bowel movements that are complete and effortless, and basically just how you can heal your gut. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll leave a link below where you can watch the free training. It's kind of like my YouTube videos, except it's longer and it's a little more precise on what exactly to do, and it really gives you an overarching plan to start healing your gut. So yeah, if you want to check that out, I'll leave the link below. Okay, so let's get into common toxins. So I'm going to go over toxins and then the sources. There's kind of an overlap here and a different way of looking at it, but I think it's helpful to see both. So common toxins are going to be things like heavy metals, endocrine disruptors, or also called xenoestrogens. They're going to be EMFs, parasites, pathogens, mold, fluoride, air pollution from things like factories and cars and smog in general, just chemicals broadly, pesticides, herbicides, and free radicals. So those are going to be some of the main ones to look out for. And if you're like, what the heck are those in? That's what I'm going to get to right now. So basically where you're going to find these things are tap water is huge. There are a lot of heavy metals, pharmaceuticals, and just weird stuff in your tap water. If you go to the, Environmental Working Group, so EWG website, You can actually look at this tap water database, and you can put in your zip code and choose your water source, and they will give you a report on what's in your water. And it's kind of scary. It's basically, oh, your water is like 20 times too high in this toxin that causes cancer, and then you see a whole list of that over and over again. But anyway, that's why water filters are important. But yeah, so tap water has a lot of toxins in it. I didn't know that for the longest time and just would drink it anyway. And then finally I was like, okay, I have to look into this. I know it's important. And once I actually started researching it, I was like, oh my God, that is terrible that I drank that for so long. So now I have a good filter. But anyway, another source is receipts. This isn't something to freak out over. I touched receipts this morning because I went to the grocery store and I want to look over it and do my budget. But yeah, it's just to know it is, so don't like excessively hold them, but don't freak out about it either. Alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, those are going to have toxins in them. Here's a huge one: fragrance. So fragrance is where you're going to find a lot of those endocrine disrupting chemicals. So basically things that mimic estrogen in your body and then have an estrogenic response. So this is going to throw off your hormones. It can cause PMS symptoms, heavier periods, worse periods. For men, it can decrease testosterone and have effects of that nature. So anyways, that's going to be really common in things like candles, perfumes, detergents, things that have like a strong smell to them. If you can really smell that strong smell and it doesn't smell natural, it's fragrance. And if you can smell it, they say that it's in your bloodstream. So that's not ideal. Again, I don't like it when I'm walking around and smell those smells. They don't smell good. But the biggest thing is going to be just not using them yourself. That will help you a lot. You don't have to like freak out about it either. So anyway, seed oils is a huge one. I've talked about that a lot. Seed oils are going to have a bunch of free radicals in them, and they can cause inflammation and all that stuff. Personal care products like toothpaste, face wash, hairspray, mouthwash, deodorant, sunscreen, anything like that that has that huge long list of chemicals that you don't know what the heck they are, yeah, that's not very good for you. At least the vast majority. You can find cleaner versions, but yeah, just be aware that those kinds of products usually are going to have a lot of chemicals and toxins that are not ideal for you. Okay, so cookware. Non-stick Teflon cookware, most of you probably know, is not good for you at all. Aluminum like cookware as well is not good for you. It can lead to Alzheimer's and different issues like that. It's very bad for your brain. Then also it's good to watch out for, so cast iron is an excellent alternative, but they're often seasoned with seed oils. So if you can, try to find a cast iron pan that wasn't pre-seasoned with seed oils. Okay, so then plastic is a huge one. Now, this is one that if you have some amazing avoiding plastic tips, please leave them in the comments because I would love to hear them. I use like cloth bags for veggies. I use lots of jars and Tupperwares and things like that. I've heard about the cloths with beeswax on them that you can use. I haven't tried it yet though. But it's really hard to avoid. A lot of food is in plastic. Plastic bags are super helpful. So just do the best you can. And like I said, if you have some amazing tip for avoiding plastic bags, let me know below. I have those silicone bags, but those are endocrine disruptors too from the silicone. So that's not really ideal. But anyway, so plastic, not ideal. Even the BPA free, really people just found out BPA was bad for you and it was an endocrine disruptor. So they replaced it with BPS, which is basically the same thing. That's still an endocrine disruptor. And then they put BPA free on it and they go, cool, it's good for you, but it's not. So yeah, just avoid plastic the best that you can. Flame retardants, this can be in clothes. It's really common in like furniture and mattresses. It's even in like car seats, which is really sad to me. But if you buy wool ones, wool is amazing for avoiding flame retardants because it's naturally like flame resistant. So it helps companies get around the regulations. So wool is going to be awesome when you're looking for flame retardant free things. It's also sprayed in the air too, which you can't do a ton about that except avoid being near it. But yeah, definitely check like mattresses, couches, and things like that when you're buying new ones that they are flame retardant free. And then you can also look if they have different certifications for being like low toxins and that kind of stuff. That's really good. Okay, processed foods. I don't think I have to go into this too much. There's going to be a lot of crap in there that's not good for you, a lot of seed oils and just the processing nature in general. Some supplements aren't very good quality and can expose you to more toxins. So I don't really like using lots of supplements. I don't think you really need them. I don't take supplements. Every once in a while I take one just to like aid detoxing a little bit more or something like that. But generally I like the organ supplements, not really a fan of much other ones. Not to say they're all bad or anything, I just don't think they're super necessary. But some toxin or some supplements, like for example the collagen ones, there are some great ones. Some of my clients really enjoy using that. But make sure you get a good one, because bones and fat, but bones for this case, and joints can bioaccumulate heavy metals and other toxins that they're exposed to, and glyphosate goes in there too, which is Roundup, which is a weed killer, and that's really bad too. Yeah, so if they are getting the collagen from joints from animals that have been exposed to a lot of toxins, that's going to be right in the collagen powder. So even when you're making your own bone broth, you want to make sure that you are getting good bones and joints and stuff for that too. But yeah, so that's just one example. Pharmaceuticals are not good for you. That's probably kind of obvious. Cleaning products is a huge one too. A lot of cleaning products have some pretty gnarly chemicals in them that just are not good for you and will bioaccumulate in your body. So use clean ones. I use vinegar and water, and that's great. I use water, I use Castile soap, and then like baking soda sometimes too. So you can keep your cleaning products pretty clean. You can still clean things well, but those really harsh ones are really not very good for you. And they're not good for your microbiome either. They can like wipe out a lot of the good guys. So if you have bloating and you have gas and that kind of stuff, cleaning products that aren't all toxic are really going to be good for you. Okay, soaps, laundry detergent, dishwashing soap, things like that, especially the ones that say like they're hard on grease, or the degreasers, or those kinds of things. Those degreasers and stuff, they can penetrate your cell membranes and get inside your cells and store in there, so they're really not great. I would definitely rather have a little bit of grease, which with some hot water and Castile soap will come off just fine, and some paper towels if you really need to, or some rags or whatever. That's much better than having weird degreaser chemicals that I don't really know what they are inside of my cells. So yeah, watch out for that. I really liked in Dr. Natasha's GAPS book, she mentioned the dishwashing soap too. Like, be aware of what you're washing your dishes with, because some of that's going to get into your food. Okay, your phone, Bluetooth, AirPods, Bluetooth headphones of other natures, Wi-Fi, cell towers, all of that is going to be emitting EMFs. So minimizing that is great. Again, you know, you can't control all of that, but if you can, don't live right next to a 5G tower. You can turn your Wi-Fi off at night. Please don't use those Bluetooth headphones. Those are really bad for you, and they're right next to your brain. Yeah, so the EMFs, I'm not going to go all into that in the video because I don't want to make it too long, but there's a lot of research on how those interfere with us. We have a lot of electromagnetic frequencies naturally in our body, so it makes sense that these external ones that are different frequencies could negatively affect our body. There's also some evidence for some positively affecting our body, so that's where infrared comes in, the red light, the infrared saunas, the FARS infrared saunas are really popular too, and it's said that that's more helpful. So anyway, frequencies can affect us, and those ones and microwaves aren't ideal, so just be aware of that. Okay, I already mentioned this, but fat and bones from unhealthy animals that have stored heavy metals and stuff like that in them, so just be aware of your meat quality. Microwaves, I just mentioned. Non-organic food is going to have more, or could have, pesticides in it, so just do your best on this one. You can follow the clean 15 dirty dozen rule if you want. Look it up if you want to know more. It's basically the foods that are least often sprayed with chemicals or pesticides you don't have to buy organic with, and then the ones that are most often you do want to buy organic. So I buy probably 90% organic, so not 100% or maybe 85%. So yeah, just do your best on that one. Prioritize certain foods. Corn is always an organic one for me because it's heavily genetically modified. Same with wheat. Something like a banana with a big thick peel, I don't worry about quite as much. But yeah, so non-organic food is a source. Yes, I know organic food isn't perfect. It can still have things, but for me, having that kind of peace of mind that it's better and there's some things they can't do to it makes me feel more comfortable. Okay, so houses can have toxins in two different ways. If you live in an old, like moldy house, that can expose you to the mycotoxins that mold produces, but new houses can be made with a lot of not so great materials that have some toxins in them. So the paint, even the wood, different parts of them can be more toxic too. So there's kind of can be a drawback with both. Vaccines also can expose you to a lot of toxins. So yeah, I won't go on a whole thing about that. I know that one's kind of controversial, but there is a lot of evidence that there is different toxins in vaccines. So that is something to be aware of. Okay, your gut microbiome, when it's off and you have gut dysbiosis, your microbes, the pathogenic ones that have overgrown, can actually produce their own toxins and expose you to even more. So it's really important that you do get your gut microbiome working well. Okay, clothes made from synthetic materials like polyester, which is basically just plastic. And also sometimes they can spray clothes with weird things like flame retardants. So just get the best, most natural clothes that you can. I'll talk about that more a little later. Synthetic hormones like in birth control or other medications are also going to be hormone disruptors and not be so great for you. If you want to know more about that, look it up. There's tons of info about the harms of birth control and how bad it is for you, or the hormonal birth control. And then just like city air, when you're in the city, you're just going to be exposed to more funky things in the air from smog and whatnot. So I know that was a lot and it might feel a little overwhelming. It was very, very discouraging to me when I first learned about these things. So remember that even though some of these things you can't control and it can feel really frustrating, there's a lot you can control, and just having that knowledge and knowing to avoid those will be so, so wonderful for you. And if you follow a good ancestral diet and you eat a lot of nutrients, that alone will help you to detox some of the things you're exposed to. A lot of those things you can avoid, which I'll talk about how to more in a second. And if you're sweating, if you're exercising, if you're living a healthy life, you will be able to get rid of pretty much all the toxins that you're exposed to if you're avoiding a bunch of these. But you can't continue on using a bunch of harsh products, buying tons of inorganic food, drinking tons of tap water, all that kind of stuff, and expect to not accumulate some. So yes, it's important to be aware of, but I just want to say it's not all doom and gloom. You can control a lot of this, and by doing that, you can massively improve your health. So also, I know it can feel overwhelming, so you can make small steps. So basically, when you are going to decrease your toxin exposure, I suggest you start with the things that will have the biggest impact. So water filter is amazing. Get a good one. Brita filters. You got to change the filter like every 2 months. The whole thing's plastic. It doesn't really work that great. If you actually change it as often as you're supposed to, it actually gets pretty expensive compared to some of the other ones that are more expensive up front. So I like something like the Berkey is what I use. I really like that one. You can get like a reverse osmosis. Like there's a lot of different good filters out there, but I would go a tier above just the like Brita filter on the counter. Yeah, so a good water filter is excellent. Your undergarments, really all your clothes, you want to be mostly natural material, but especially your underwear, you really want that to be cotton, organic cotton, wool, something good like that, not polyester, or you're going to be absorbing a lot of endocrine disruptors right next to an area you probably really don't want to. The clothes you spend the most time in, just transitioning that over to more natural materials like cotton, wool, bamboo, leather. I guess that's more of an external like thing, like a jacket or whatnot, but linen, things like that. And if you're unsure on a material, I'll look it up sometimes, like is rayon natural or how is it made or things like that, because sometimes there's ones that can be a little confusing. So yeah, with that, like what I did was just kind of, well, I already had a lot of things like okay on that, but gradually with time now, as I buy new clothes, I always look at what it's made of. Sometimes you find something and it's like 20% polyester and you really, really like it and the rest of it's wool. So I don't worry too much about that if it's like a shawl or a shirt or something like that, but try to get as much natural materials as you can. That's something you can gradually do over time. Now, just looking in my closet the other day, it's almost all, but it's not 100%. So you don't have to throw a bunch of things out and start all new. Like you don't have to do that. Just gradually get better with time. As you buy new things, just make sure that they're not toxic ones. Okay, food is going to be another really important one. You know, like I said, buy organic as much as you can, avoid plastic packaging as much as you can. I know it's hard. I buy things in plastic too. It's like almost impossible to get meat without some plastic or the plastic inside of the paper. But yeah, just do the best you can there. Let's see. Personal care products, that's a huge one to work on. Making natural ones, making your own, buying natural ones is good. I really like making my own stuff. I like knowing exactly what's in it. I really like making things from scratch. So I use baking soda and apple cider vinegar for my hair. Sometimes I'll use an egg yolk too. Yeah, use really simple things like that. I make my own toothpaste from coconut oil, neem oil, baking soda, clay, peppermint in there too. Let's see, I don't really use face wash products like that. Bar of soap, I buy a goat milk bar of soap, or I actually made my own last time out of lard and baking soda and Castile soap, but I'm still working on that one. But anyway, you can do things like that. For dish soap, I just do Castile soap and water, 1 part Castile soap, 10 parts water. For laundry, I use Castile soap, vinegar, and baking soda. That works really well for me. So you know, you don't have to do all these changes at once. This has been like gradual for me. I started making my toothpaste in high school. I started the apple cider vinegar and baking soda thing then, and you know, the laundry detergent thing I started a few years ago. It's been kind of a gradual thing. But if you have like products you're putting on your skin or washing your clothes in, you know, that's going to have a more dramatic effect. So those are good things to start with. And yeah, what you clean your house with, that's definitely going to too. So those are all good things to be aware of. Your cookware, changing that out. So not using aluminum as much as possible. For me, I also focus on what cookware do I use the most. You know, I use a pan, I use a pot, I use a baking dish like every day. So I have those good materials. I have stainless steel, I have cast iron, and I have glass. So that's what I use. Recently I got a glass baking dish and I really love that because most of them are aluminum. So the glass is much better for you. I realized, hey, I'm using this a lot and I don't want to be using aluminum that much. If it's something like I don't know, I have like a cake pan that I don't use for cake, but anyway, like that, and muffin tins, things like that I rarely use and I already have, I don't worry about too much. But yeah, I just like the things I use the most often are what I'm more concerned with. So yeah, those are all good places to start. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, and like if you haven't already thrown away your seed oils, like get rid of those and just start using butter or ghee or tallow or lard, or you can use olive oil or avocado oil if you want, but make sure you get a good brand because a lot of them lie and just put seed oils in them. So I like the animal fats better personally. But yeah, so those are going to be some of the most important. Let's see if there's any other. Okay, if I think of another one that's like really urgent, then I will mention that. But let's see. Yeah, so just focus on the ones that are going to make the biggest impact. Then with time, start working on other things, just gradually change things. When you go to buy new things, like I mentioned before, look for good ones. So like over the years, I've gone, hey, my salt and pepper shakers are plastic. I don't like that. And one day I found glass ones for like $3 each at the grocery store. And I was like, I'm going to get these. And when my fitted sheet tore, I was like, okay, I need to buy a new one. Let me make sure I get a good one. Okay, I'll get organic cotton flannel. So yeah, so as things break better ones. That's kind of what I mostly advise. Don't make it anything too crazy. There are still things that I'm swapping out. I haven't gotten a new mattress yet, you know, so just work on it as you go. Let's see. I mentioned that. Airing your house out can also be really helpful. Yeah, it just kind of keeps the air fresh, and if there are any kind of toxins in there, you can kind of flush them out. So that's another thing I really recommend doing. Spending time in nature is really good for you, and there are way less toxins here than the city, so spending more time outside is going to be excellent for you, and less time in more polluted areas. Oh, getting wired internet is excellent. That is something I plan to do eventually. Again, this is a process. I'm not all the way there yet. But yeah, getting wired internet is great for decreasing EMFs. You can also turn your Wi-Fi router off at night or when you're not using it. That's great. Don't have your Wi-Fi router right next to your bed or where you spend a lot of time. I've also heard of these bags you can buy that you can like put over that's supposed to decrease the EMFs. Not 100% sure on how effective they are, but you can always look into that too. Let's see. Use like wired headphones if you're going to use headphones. I turn my phone on airplane mode at night. I always keep the Bluetooth off if I'm not using it. Little things like that can help you with EMFs. I don't recommend talking on the phone like this. Instead, speakerphone is much better. Yeah, your phone is probably going to be your biggest source of EMFs for you, and maybe your Wi-Fi router. So those are the biggest things that you can work on for decreasing EMFs. So don't put your phone in your pocket right next to your genitals. Like, that's not a good idea. Don't put your computer right on your lap. Yeah, just kind of think about ways to distance yourself from those. Let's see. I mentioned a water filter. I didn't mention a shower filter. The water you are showering in or bathing in, a lot of that's going to get absorbed. Our bodies are 70% water. Our skin is very, very absorptive. So it's really, really great to get a shower filter. Or a bath filter if you take baths, or you can just get like a house filter that filters all the water in your house. So that's another option. I have the Berkey filter for my water, for drinking water and cooking water and that kind of stuff. And then I have a shower filter for the shower. So Live Pristine has like a really good one. It's like the dual something. It's the one with the two thingies on both sides, and it doesn't come with the shower head. You have to buy your own shower head. But anyway, I like that one. It gets rid of a lot of things. So that's another great investment you can make over time. It's not that expensive either. But anyway, yeah, again, that's something I did like, a year and a half ago. And then like half a year ago, I got the new filter for it. So again, gradually incorporate these things. Okay, non-toxic cookware, I talked about that. Oh, you can use lots of jars and glass Tupperwares and things like that instead of plastic bags. The beeswax cloth I mentioned you can use instead of plastic wrap. Use non-hormonal birth control like the fertility awareness method. That is really awesome. Definitely look into it a lot before relying on it. What is her name? Toni Weschler has a really great book, Taking Charge of Your Fertility. So if you're interested in that, I would recommend just reading that whole book. It is excellent. It has tons of info. It's a really great method, and you're not exposed to any funky endocrine disruptors. So that's a great option. Balance your gut microbiome, eat lots of fermented foods. Healing that will help decrease toxins that your gut microbiome is creating. Heal and seal your gut lining. If your gut lining is leaky, any toxins that you're breathing in that are in your food, that you're being exposed to in your intestinal tract, digestive tract, I guess, in there, if you have leaky gut, they can just seep right in through the cracks. Instead of having a sealed, healed gut lining, will already decrease your exposure a lot because it'll leave a lot of those toxins in, and then they'll get excreted in your stools. If you're constipated, that's also going to increase your toxin exposure because your stools are just sitting there, and as more and more water is absorbed in your colon into your bloodstream, toxins are going to go with that. So healing your gut will really decrease your toxin exposure. Decreasing your toxin exposure will also help heal your gut. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh yeah, I just mentioned that. Yeah, when something wears out, just buy a non-toxic one. Okay, I realized I kind of skipped over the effects, so I'm going to go back and talk about some of the effects of these toxins and why you should bother with all of this and decreasing your exposure and paying attention to this. So, xenoestrogens, endocrine disruptors in plastic, in personal care products, in receipts, in so many things, perfumes and cleaning products and dishwashing soaps and all these different things. They throw off your hormone balance. So basically they can increase estrogen, they can decrease progesterone, testosterone, and just kind of mess that up. For women, this causes a lot of PMS symptoms, heavy periods, crampy periods, uncomfortable symptoms like that. For men, it's not great either. For both men and women, it can lower sex drive. For both men and women, it can promote fat gain, excess fat gain, and it can be harder to lose fat. It is just not great for your hormones. They're supposed to be in a certain proportion, and this just throws it off. Free radicals, like in seed oils, they're in some other things, but seed oils is going to be the primary source. So those can clog your arteries, they can cause cardiovascular disease, they cause a lot of inflammation in your body. They are just not great. They can inhibit fat loss, they can mess up your metabolism. So if you want to learn more about those, I have a whole video about seed oil, so I'll link that above if you want to check it out. Parasites. So I didn't talk too much about parasites. A lot of times when you eat better and you detox and you work on your gut health and all of that, it'll kind of just decrease them back down to a normal amount and you won't have excess parasites. But some people really benefit from parasite cleansing, and that is a big issue for them. So that's definitely something you can do if you want to. Parasites can eat our food. If there's too many of them, or big ones or funky ones growing in there, then they can eat our food. They can lead us to become nutrient deficient. They can cause blockages in the colon if they're large enough, preventing bowel movements. They can cause weight gain or loss. They can increase sugar cravings because they really want sugar. They can cause fatigue, headaches, insomnia, and all sorts of different issues. So that's another thing to be aware of. So that's one thing to be aware of. And then let's see. Okay, toxins in our tap water. Oh boy, I have a long paragraph right here of notes. So there are a lot of toxins in our tap water. I will link an article below all about tap water toxins in it, whether getting a water filter is worth it or not. This is when I looked into it, I did all the research and put it into this article, or not all the research, but I did a bunch of research on it. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll leave that below. And if you want more references and that kind of stuff, it's all in there. But anyway, so toxins in tap water can lead to cancer, decreased IQ, autism, organ damage, organ disease, hormonal and fertility issues, immune dysfunction. Oh yeah, the xenoestrogens can mess up your fertility too. But back to toxins in tap water, you can also get immune dysfunction, bone weakness, DNA damage, gut damage, gastrointestinal bleeding, ulcers, developmental harm, Alzheimer's, arthritis, neurotoxicity, depression, celiacs, autoimmune diseases, Parkinson's, heart attacks, lymphoma, acne, skin issues, and a lot more. So that's really important to avoid. Glyphosate, which is a weed killer, it's also called Roundup, is horrible for your gut health. It can cause leaky gut because basically it increases zonulin in your body, which increases the permeability in your gut lining. It also does the same thing for your blood-brain barrier, so it's really bad for your brain too. So yeah, it can cause leaky gut, which can lead to autoimmune diseases, which can lead to cancers, can lead to so many things. It can cause joint pain. It can cause autism, cancer, reproductive issues, hormonal imbalances, hypothyroidism, and a lot more. So that's a really important one to avoid as well. There's a really great video with Mark Hyman and a woman, I forget her name, who wrote a really great book about glyphosate and the harms of it. So that is a really great thing to check out. If you search Mark Hyman glyphosate, I'm sure you'd find it just pop up, but that's a really informative one if you want an hour of learning about glyphosate, which I think is fascinating. Anyway, just overall toxin buildup in your body causes cancer, causes autoimmune diseases, causes chronic illnesses, headaches, fatigue, skin issues, digestive and gut problems, brain fog, weight gain, difficulty losing weight, joint pain, insomnia, decreased fertility, hormonal issues, colds and flus, and just way more. So basically, the toxins can kind of scratch at your gut lining. They can be bad in that way. And then if you already have gut issues, they're going to have an easier time getting into your bloodstream, especially if you have leaky gut. If you have constipation, like I said, they're going to have an easier time getting into your body. If you're putting things on your skin that are going to be absorbed, they're going to have an easier time getting into your body. If you are breathing toxins in, they're going to get into your body. So when you're exposed to lots of them, you have gut issues, you're going to absorb even more. If you have, what was I going to say? I don't remember. Anyway, so if you have that, then you're just going to have more toxins, and they're going to store in your body. When they store in these tissues, that's what can lead to the dysfunction. Like for glyphosate, it causes leaky gut. Then with the leaky gut, it gets in your body even more. It stores in your joints because glyphosate is similar to glycine, the amino acid, which is really high in connective tissue. So glyphosate can go into your joints and replace glycine. Then you get an autoimmune disease because your body's like, what's wrong with this joint tissue? And it can start like attacking it because it's trying to get rid of the glyphosate. So that same thing can happen in all different parts of your body. And basically, in the stages of disease, the further this goes, the worse it gets. So eventually this will lead to cancers. Now, this might sound depressing, but it's actually doesn't have to be. Instead, knowing all of this and choosing to avoid these things, choosing to prioritize your health, you can feel more comfort in realizing that you are greatly, greatly decreasing your chances of cancer and chronic illnesses and disease. Like I said, when you heal your gut, when you have a nice healed, sealed gut lining, when you're having those daily bowel movements, when you're eating really nutritious foods, you are absorbing the nutrients out of those foods, you're digesting things well. When all of that is good, when you're not having symptoms, when you're exercising, when you're getting outside, all of that will help you so much, because having these symptoms come up is really the first stage of disease. And a lot of people don't treat it that way. They just think, oh, it's normal, I'm getting a headache, everyone gets headaches, or oh, I can't sleep just like lots of other people, or oh, I'm getting old, that's why my joints hurt. It's actually your body telling you something's wrong, please fix this. If you don't, it's going to get worse, and it's going to progress and progress and progress. So yeah, those initial little symptoms should be taken seriously, because they can get worse. They can lead to autoimmune diseases, they can lead to cancers and other things like that. So yeah, but please don't take this as like it's depressing, because it's a little depressing, but it doesn't have to be. It's also empowering, because you can change a lot. And more and more people are realizing this, are sharing about it, are writing books about it, are creating companies that align with this. So you really can find some pretty great things that are pretty thorough about being non-toxic. So we actually have access to so many things that are non-toxic, great alternatives, and we have a lot of access to, on the internet, looking things up and seeing how good they are. And there's a lot of certifications now that companies can get to show that they are like less toxin, are flame retardant free, different things like that. So there is a lot of great opportunities here. Make sure you focus on what you can control, because you can control a lot and it will help you so much. Don't fret too much about what you can't control that other people are doing. But if you focus on what you're putting in and on your body and what you have in your house, that will do so much for your health. But yeah, if you worry too much, then you get stressed, and that's not good for your health. So don't do that. Like I said before, go slow. Focus on those most important things first. Don't worry too much about making all these changes at once. This becomes so much easier with time, and now it's just, I kind of know off the top of my head the toxin sources to avoid, what to look for when I'm going to buy new things. So it's like, oh, I need new pants or whatever, like, let's make sure these are good and made of cotton or organic cotton or something like that, and not polyester. Oh, I need a new cooking dish, let me make sure it's, glass or cast iron or stainless steel. So it does get so much easier with time, and you can just gradually make those changes. Okay, I wanted to mention that I have learned about all these things in a lot of different places, different books, different articles, all sorts of different places. I can't possibly remember all of them, but I do have a few like key ones that really stand out. So I'm gonna link some books and articles below. So there's one book called Detoxify or Die that is amazing if you want tons of research and citations and very specific examples of how toxins cause specific diseases and dysfunctions. That book is amazing. She also goes over how to detoxify the body, so that's a really good one. And it's crazy, it was written in like 2002, I think, and I'm like, oh my god, people knew that back then, and it still isn't totally fixed, but that's just the way it works. The contagion myth is also really great. That one talks a little bit more about EMFs and really goes into a lot of examples of specific toxins and how they cause issues. I also have a few articles that I wrote. I wrote an article about in-depth guide to detoxing your body, which covers a lot of what I talked about in this video and what I will in the next one too. I also have that one about a water filter and the tap water and what's in there. So yeah, if you want more like sources to see where I'm getting some of this info, you can always look at those articles. Yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. Like I said, I've learned about it from a lot of different places, but those are some resources that I think expand more on what I talked about in this video. So if it's something you want to learn more about, those are good places to go. And yeah, make sure you stay tuned for next week's video, because I'll be talking about how to detox properly, how to get these things out of your body, and also how to detox in the right order so that you don't get reactions and flare-ups while you're detoxing. Yeah, and at the beginning of this video I mentioned that I have a free training on how to heal your gut by getting your digestive system to work like an efficient machine. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. I have it linked below. In it, I cover the 5 key principles to a successful gut healing routine, the importance of a personalized, sustainable, and nourishing diet, and how to create that for yourself, how to have full, relieving, healthy bowel movements every day. And I also go over the most common mistakes I see people make on their gut healing journey so that you can avoid making those. It is a really high value video. It has a lot of great info in it. So if you are serious about healing your gut, I definitely recommend checking that out. And yeah, thank you for watching this. If you liked it and you're not already subscribed and you want to see more videos about gut health and nutrition and just holistic health, then you can always subscribe. If you liked this, go ahead and like it. You can share it with a friend. You can always comment. I appreciate all of that very much. Thank you.